All right. Okay. So, real quick refresher. We talked about those three economic questions: right? What to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce. We had discussed just generically the four types of economies, in a sense that um, three of those feed into the actual mixed economy. So, in reality, the only true economy that exists is a mixed economic system. Um, we got into some economic goals, a couple different examples of growth, innovation, um, all the advancements that we have, and this is just again the tip of the iceberg when it comes to development and how we've progressed over the years. Just our cell phone technology, access to the internet. For the sake that who heard about Elon Musk tasking two or three of his satellites over the Ukraine so they could have internet service and be able to provide stuff outside of, because Russia had basically blocked off all the internet access to Ukraine. Well, a person, private owner of a company was able to send satellites over the country to help them out. Right, this is absolutely amazing. Um, we talked about sometimes our goals kind of conflict with each other, right? Different situations. Traditional economics ended up kind of, if you think about it, very basic, nothing really fancy. Habits, customs, rituals. The Amish was a decent example in regards to what traditional society would look like. But if you think about the Amish community, do they so focus on just their society? If they just stay in their culture, their community, then yes, it'd be perfect, almost perfect. But they sell their services outside of their community, right? So you'll see them around working on people's barns, working on stuff for people outside of their community. So it kind of diverges there a little bit. Then we had a couple fun videos. you know, Family Guy um, got into the idea of free markets, right? So free markets, now we're looking at a market system where the government is not involved. It is literally up to us, the customers, and the um, suppliers, right? We figure it out. There's no taxation. There's no rules. Um, I was thinking about when I think about rules. All those silly rules that they have on like hair dryers, like don't plug in and then submerge in water, or don't stick your finger in this, like all these little things that. But in a free market system, they figure it out. Right? There's no rules, no laws. It's up to us. Voluntary exchange, individuals make all the decisions, right? You guys figure it out. No one has to tell you how to. If it's not working, try a different way. And then who do you sell to? Totally up to you. You can pick. This was the one that people struggle with a little bit on the quiz, which we'll talk about a little bit tomorrow. But the product market, again, is the easier one to understand. That's just me going to the store, right? So I, the household, go and I give Walmart money, and they give me um, Fritos. It's the product, right? It's the simple exchange of items back and forth, right? When you guys go to work this afternoon, if you're going to work this afternoon, you, the household, are providing service, and they are providing you pay, right? So it's the factor payments. That was another one people struggled on, right? So if I go to work, I am getting a factor payment. They are providing me funds for providing them my services, right? I think the couple of questions was, if mom and dad go grocery shopping, which one is it? That would have been this one, right? Monetary flow, I get the physical flow. If I go to work, it's the factor market. It's down here. So, all right. We discussed a little bit about Adam Smith. Self interest. I want something. I go out and I get my thing, whatever I want. And by doing that in a free market system, everyone benefits, right? Because someone has to provide me all of those pieces, parts that go along with it. As the day went on, it got more and more intricate in some of my explanations. Like it just keeps on going. All of the random stuff that's I'm trying to think of what the name of it is. Um, it's in Brunswick, or it's almost in Valley City, I think. Do you guys know where the Marks and Center Road meet right there. There's that little is it Shell? Is it still a Shell? Or no, it's Sunoco. Okay, and across is the Tavern and Drug Mart. Over in that industrial parkway, there is a company that makes literally all they make is the nuts and the bolts for vehicles, but they're like small nuts and bolts. That's all they make. That's all they do. That's it. Like, but somebody had to go. Hey, I'm going to create a business that's going to make just the nuts and bolts, the small things that people need for their vehicles, for the valves, for the real. I mean, all the it was crazy. I visited years ago. It's really pretty impressive. But then you have to think about some the concrete to make the base, right? Think about all of the machinery, the metal, all of the vending machines for crying out loud, and the plastic that covers the food, and the mechanism that recognizes the change that says yes, that's a 25 cent piece. Right? It's just kind of one of those. But again, that's that whole idea that as long as I'm taking care of me, right? Incentives, I can adjust your self interest through incentives. And then we watched that Friends episode of do that. Now, this is the new stuff, right? Now, this is key because you're going to see there's a specific question about number 6. So even if you wanted to put a circle around that in your notes, because you will see a question about this. Self interest and competition can basically push the market system, right? So trying to think of, well, I'll give you guys an example that I've experienced in my time. And it's a simple one. Does anybody, and again, it's a food one, so I apologize if I make you guys more hungry. Who here are my Brunswick people? All right, so you guys know Mucho Bueno, right? Right there, right next to Applebee's, right? That was there was Cozumel, but Cozumel was like around the corner and down the street away. So if you were Mucho Buenos, Cozumel was far enough away it didn't really affect your Mexican decisions because it was a decent distance. But just recently, I want to say about a year ago now, El Taco Loco opened up right across the streets, right where that old House of Pearl used to be. It probably had something to do with, well, there's, do you guys remember a couple years back the big, huge bus they had in Fairview Park, Brunswick, Strongsville? Yeah, not good. House of Pearl wasn't connected to that, but I think they negatively were impacted by that. So people just stopped going because they were literally like right next to the place where the trafficking was happening. Um, so, anyways, that's now El Taco Loco. And has anybody been to El Taco Loco? It's not bad. Yeah, it's comparable to Mucho Bueno. I would say they're pretty equal depending on what you're looking for. You don't like it?
No, I don't like Mucho Bueno.
Oh, so you like El Taco Loco better, right? So now here's the thing, going back to the competition and self-interest, I really like Mucho Bueno. But El Taco Loco, and this is more of a physical thing, is bigger. There's more space, it's a little more spread out, right? You have bigger tables. And I think they kind of overkilled it when I visited them. They were like super friendly, super nice. At least the one guy I was dealing with. And so for about a month or so, I was going to El Taco Loco. And then I went back to Mucho Bueno for something, and they had, I think they changed something on the menu. And I was like, oh, okay, I kind of like that. Right? But this is the fun part about self-interest and competition. In order for them to get me to come back, there's going to have to be something to get me to come back. Right? If you ever watch any of the different, like, because we're in tax time now, you'll see TurboTax, and you'll also see what's the other tax guy? I forget. There's like different companies. H&R Block. Thank you. And you'll see the commercials constantly trying to get you to use their. Well, what are we going to provide? What are we going to provide? What are we going to provide? Right? It's a constant competition, right? Because they want you to come back. So if they lose your business, they're going to have to figure out a way to get you to come back to get their business. So who benefits in the end?
No.
You.
The customer, right? Because I'm getting stuff to get them back. So those companies are having to figure out what they got to do. That's not my problem. My problem is I got to figure out where I want to go for lunch, or I got to figure out where I want to go to get my gas. You guys have seen this all the time too at the corners where they have 2 or 3 gas stations.
Right? Self-interest, I want the cheaper gas. So even if it's only a penny, I will go sometimes to the penny less or the one a cent less because there's that little war that's going on. So competition can really impact what's going on there. Um, that actually leads into the big, huge picture, which is the main thing that Smith thinks about, which is called the invisible hand theory. And the invisible hand theory is essentially all of this stuff happens and no one is making it happen. It's an invisible hand, something that's pushing the economy back and forth, up and down. Well, here, let's do this one real quick. If I were to say, and I'll let you guys pick your favorite meal of whatever choice you would like. Okay? Your favorite meal. Who in here would be interested in buying your favorite meal at your favorite restaurant for $300, $200? Okay, where's this? What restaurant is this?
It's like this little mom and pop place out in Cleveland, like super hole in the wall, and it makes like the best Indian food I've ever had in my whole
So
life.
it's value $200 for you, huh? How about $100? 75, 65, 55, 45, 35, 25, 20. All right, so I have about half the class now. So $20 is about your average for the class, right? So did anyone? So the market kind of adjusts. So for me to get you to come to my store, I'm going to have to bring my prices down. Right now, this place right here, this Indian food, might be good enough that people will go buy that stuff. And when we get to supply, I'll show you guys some examples of some crazy ones. All right, but the market will kind of determine the prices of things as well. If I were to start that same meal at 50 cents, would almost all of you guys probably buy it for 50 cents, right? So who would basically be shooting themselves in the foot? The owner of the company, right? Whoever it is. So they have to bring their prices up until they're making enough money that it's worth their while, right? So it's it's the invisible hand, right? So small little clip here, and then we'll move on to.
You know the guy that owns the Loco? He used to work at Cozumel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Lala. He's really cool.
The reason we have all these products at a supermarket.
He does this thing where he goes into a store, and it's very common if you think about it. But we don't even if you think about it. But we don't typically think about it when you go in. Does anybody ever recognize that we say thank you to each other when we exchange over the counter? Like they'll say sometimes the people will say thank you, and then you say thank you because we're both getting something from it, right? They're getting the money, thank you very much, and then you're getting the product, thank you very much. So it's one of those things where it's just an oddity. All right. There is a question regarding this, so you're going to want to make sure we have this taken care of. Do you need another packet of notes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just had him earlier, but
That's fine.
mine are gone.
So there's a couple different advantages of the free markets. There are definitely some disadvantages we'll get to here as well. Efficient response to conditions. So years ago, I worked at Lowe's. And I'm sorry if I repeat myself, but when I worked there, I was just working in the wood area section, and I thought, or they told us that if someone came in and said that they could match that price, or that let's say they came into Lowe's and they said I was at Home Depot and they have it advertised for $5 cheaper, I, a lowly guy who had been working there for a day, was allowed to go to the counter with them, match the price, and give them 10% off. I'm not sure what you guys are able to do wherever you guys work, but that was it was odd. I thought for sure they'd have to show me proof, or they'd have to have the something. And nope, as long as we want customers, we want you to stay in the building, right? I know my mom, and you guys might know someone who's like this when she goes shopping, is an amazing finagler. She's able to connive, adjust the thought process of anybody. Like sometimes there's like a 90-day time frame to turn something back in or return something. She'll bring it a year later and somehow get a discount or somehow get something off of something. I don't know how she does it. But on the other side of that is the person's willing to change the price. Yeah, sure, I'll take 50% off. Yeah, I'll take 25% off. Yeah, sure, let's do this. Does anybody by any chance remember H.H. Gregg? It was around during your lifetime. So that was like the competitor to Best Buy. It has since gone away. I haven't seen them around that I can remember. Almost all of them have turned into something else. But that was I used to, because Best Buy, if you go to Best Buy, does anybody work at Best Buy or know anyone who works at Best Buy? Okay, there's no negotiations. You go in, that's the price tag. That's it. So you get. Sometimes in the back they might have like things with a scratch or a dent or something like that. You can get a little bit of discounts off of. But H Gregg, they had salespeople that worked on commission. So every time I go in, like there was a couple of times like I bought a fridge, and they didn't have the one I wanted in stock right there. So they're like, "We'll give you the one that's the better version for the same price." I'm like, "Okay, sounds good." Same thing happened with an oven. I went in and I wanted like the base oven, and they're like, "Well, we don't have that one anymore. We'll give you the next version up." So there was this negotiation process. It was really kind of fun. Auto dealerships, car dealerships are fun. Has anybody ever had that experience? If you go into it with I'm going to have fun with this, it's fun. If you go into it with, oh, this is going to be a pain in the butt, then it's going to be a pain in the butt. But in regards to changing market conditions and responding to changing, it's just fun to have, because they're playing with you anyway. Is anybody? I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Anyone's parents a car salesperson? Are they? So
My
they,
stepdad is.
yeah. So I'm sure he has all the different. Does he use it on you, like his sales techniques at home?
No, because he knows I won't fall for it.
My favorite one was when we got back in after a test drive. He's like, "All right, name 3 things that you didn't like about the car." And I was like, "Okay, I didn't like this, this, and this." He's like, "Now name 3 things." Or no, it was like name 3 things you do like. That was what it was. The 3 things you like. I was like, "I like this, this, and this." He's like, "What? Name 3 things you don't like." This is where I was smart ass. I was like, the price, and the price. He's like, "Well, I mean, we can." Changing market conditions. Freedom of choice for consumers and producers. I mean, think about the choices that we do have available in just our society. And we're not a pure market system. So we have laws limiting us. Imagine if we had no laws and all the things that would be possible that are out there now. Which kind of connects to variety of goods and services. The sheer amount of things that are available to us is astronomical. And then growth and innovation. So the growth and innovation, we are talking about economic growth aspects, but think about all the new things and the creations and advancements that are constantly happening in the society. Now, this is kind of one of my previous comments. The advantage of the free market is we can do anything we want. The disadvantages of the free market is we can do anything we want. Right? There's some dangers out there. Of just having no limitations, right? Over the years, all of the drugs that have been tainted with other things, right? FAA. Who here remembers? There's a book called The Jungle. Oh my God, we'll refer to later on in something else, right?
I loved reading that book.
Okay, and that was written by Upton Sinclair,
I feel like
and it
it's
talked
my
about the meatpacking plants and all that stuff. But that literally led to the FDA. Food and Drug Administration. Because at one point there was no limitations. It was like just whatever. Okay, we make the meat. Has anybody by any chance seen The Food That Built America? So there's The Men That Built America. It's the same producer, same everyone, same narrator, and they did The Food That Built America. But they were talking about Heinz and ketchup. Has anybody ever heard of ketchup? KCATSUP. Ketchup. My grandma used to say it all the time, and I thought that she was just saying ketchup wrong. But ketchup used to be it's still there. It's like a fish something that you would put on meat, because back in the day, they didn't have freezers, they didn't have refrigerators, so you would have to get meat from the vendors, and it would be rough and raw, so you put ketchup on it to kind of take away some of the flavoring. Nowadays, when you look at it, going back to that The Jungle. Now, all of the clean. Who here works at a restaurant? How much cleaning do you guys do?
Lots.
Like there's almost,
Depends on how busy we are. If we're slow, the whole thing gets cleaned top to
Yeah.
bottom.
and then if there's like fingerprints places, you're like, oh, gotta, right? Because of the spot appearances of the health department, right? There we go. All right. Let's see if this works. Yes. All right. So Burger King used to have an ad
that was "We'll Make It Your Way." I'm not sure if I've heard it recently, but Mad TV did a spoof on it, and I thought it was kind of fun.